Hey, mixing friends, Graham here from therecordingrevolution.com. And today I want to talk to you about one sneaky drum move that you can do in your mix to give you more powerful drums, more impact, and it doesn't even involve a single plugin. All right, so I'm mixing an album right now, a live worship album, and so this can apply to any type of record where you've got live drums. And especially when you start to implement any kind of loops or samples into your drums, which is very common these days on almost every genre. You're bringing in a sample to enhance the kick or the snare, or there's a loop that you're playing along with, which has claps or snare hits or kick drum hits as well, and it's part of the sound. Don't just bring in the loop and assume that since it's in time and it's at the right tempo and it seems to sound okay, that it's as tight as it could be, because the lack of tightness is going to lead to a lack of impact and punch, and you're going to be chasing your tail with plugins to try to make your drums hit hard when it's not a plug-in move that you need, it's an editing move that you need, and no one really wants to do it, but that's the sneaky part of this move. So in this song, I've got drums, and I've got them sounding pretty good. Here we are, chorus. Lord, stop, God, let your glory go on and on. Impossible. Drums sound okay. Okay, they sound okay. But when I pulled these tracks in, I realized, okay, we've got a loop and some actual drums, and let's see if they are lined up, because most often they're not, times they're not. So if you zoom in here, you will see some interesting stuff. Kick drum track is up here in blue. That kick drum is hitting, and then you can see the loop, which has a kick drum hit, is significantly delayed. But significantly, I mean it's within, tenth of a second or whatever. But that's an audible difference. And then here's the overhead, which has got the kick drum sound in it as well. So this is going to give you sort of a loose, flappy sound. And it's not just there. If you move along, all three aren't lined up there. This is the snare part of the loop. That's not lined up with the overhead. Same thing here. A little closer here, a little closer there, a little better there. Now that's not too bad. Okay, now the kick drum's behind a bit. Now it's a little bit ahead, behind a bit, close, way ahead, way ahead. It's just inconsistent, It's not really any rhyme or reason to it. And so you could chase your tail trying to use some transient designers or some parallel compression to get these to hit hard. But I'm telling you guys, if the samples and the loops are not lined up with your real tracks, you're never going to get them to hit hard. So let me help you. Let's make them hit hard by doing some simple editing techniques. All I do is I take any of the tracks, including the kick drum track, because it looked like it was really off the overhead. So I don't know if they just gave me a sample and that was off of the original tracks, so maybe the real kick drum track would have been tighter to the overhead. Either way, it didn't seem to sound right even with just the overhead. So I tightened up the kick track and the loop track to the overheads. So I duplicated the playlist, which means in Pro Tools I just copied the track to a new virtual track on top of it so I could edit a copy of it. And you can see I've made all these edit points. Edit point there, edit point there. Anytime you see a cut, that's where I've shifted one of the kick drum hits. And it's not every hit, it's just every few hits, okay? Just went through systematically, and I visually zoom in here, and I visually lined it up with the overhead below it. I did the same thing on the loop track. Boom. So now you've got the kick, the loop, and the overhead all lined up on every single hit. Okay, this takes time, yes. This is not fancy or exciting. No, it is not. It's sometimes mind-numbing. Yes, it is. But if you get a track from a client and the drums aren't hitting hard and there's loops, you need to tighten those suckers up if they didn't do it. And I'm telling you, if you are your own musician, which is more of you, then treat this as an editing phase. Make sure you do this, because what I want you to do is hear the difference this makes with these tightened up now. Take a listen to how these drums hit. Much more punch as opposed to this. You definitely hear it here. If you think that sounds hard, then you haven't heard it tightened. There's deeper lows, rounder kick drum. It sounds clear as opposed to total sonic change, total tonal change, and total impact change with no plugins. This is literally just things being out of alignment and out of phase with each other. And if you get them tighter at the beginning, then mixing drums will be very, very easy. In fact, on this song, I don't even think I have any processing on the kick or the loop, and it's really coming together nicely in the mix. So let's bring it all back in. There you go. You get that kick that's really, really hitting hard. So there you have it. Sneaky drum move to get your kick drums, your drums to pop and hit harder. And this is definitely anytime you're bringing in any kind of loops or samples, just take the time, guys. It's worth it. It will make a big, big difference. I don't really consider it mixing because I like to do it in the editing phase, but if you haven't gotten around to it yet, got to do it. There you go. I hope that helps. Subscribe to the video if you like it, and it'll make sure you get the latest video in your inbox the moment it goes live. Let me know, do you do this kind of tightening and editing on your drums with any kind of loops or samples? If not, why not? Maybe it's just you never thought about it. That was me for about 10 years. If you haven't thought about it, why not try today on your next track? Let me know if it makes a difference. I'd love to hear from you. I hope that you make some great music this weekend. I'll talk to you on another video soon. Take care.